We're in a moment of chaos through an eclipse portal. There's a lot of powerful energy. There's a lot of magic around us right now. And some are not using it for the good of all. Some are using it to elevate themselves or to protect themselves. And some are using it for the good of all. And so we get to choose. That's the cool part. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to The Real Sky. I'm Dr. Danny. I am a physician. I am an astrologer. I practice both. And today I just got off call from my 24-hour shift, and I wanted to drop this video for you for the coming full moon eclipse. This is quite a sparkly eclipse season in many, many ways. I called this moon the alchemist moon when the new moon came. And sometimes these names just pop into my head, and the reason isn't really clear until the energy starts to build. And then I see what was coming through for me. I called this moon the alchemist moon. So today we are also going to have a quick teaching on the 7 steps of alchemy. What actually is involved in the process of physical alchemy, and how can we associate those steps to personal internal alchemy? Because there's a lot of chaos in the world, y'all. And chaos is a good thing and a bad. It's neither. It's both. It's a soup of possibilities, and it is stuff that we were attached to sort of dissolving into the ether. But when there is a lot of movement like what we have right now, the potential for magic is really quite high, especially when it comes to your own internal alchemy. What do you want? What do you desire? What do you want to bring into the world? How do you want to show up in the world? I think a lot of that is knowing your own astrology. So we're going to also do this astrology by your rising sign. After I give you the full magic of this lunar eclipse, then I'm going to take you by your rising sign. And we do this from a constellational perspective, real sky perspective. It's very simple. It's not a complex, is it Vedic? Is it this? Is it that? We look up, we see where things are, and we read it. We use common and current thematic archetypes. So it's not a matter of belief. It's simply a matter of, do you see yourself in these stars? Does it resonate with how you move through the world? And can it help you? And so I offer this type of astrology to you to see if that may be the case for you. I know what I believe. And as long as you know what you believe, then that's fine. So we'll go through each rising sign, and the way you do that, I'll also teach you that. It's real simple. I have a free chart calculator powered by Mastering the Zodiac. You guys can just go right in there, type in your birth details, and then you look at the ascendant sign, and I'll show you what that looks like. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation. All right, friends, I'd like to present to you this online software that is free and available for anyone to use, called stellarium-web.org. What a wonderful, wonderful service, providing a simulation of what is exactly above our head. And it's all done with observation, mathematical calculations, and we can see where all of the luminaries are. This red line, it traces the path of the sun. So we always know where the sun will be along this line. And what's so cool about this software, and this red pills a lot of people about astrology, actually, because when they put in their birth date, they see that the sun's in a different space. You can take out the atmosphere, you can take out the landscape, you can put in the constellations, you can put in the art. It's just really fantastic. It's a great way to pull in the mythology of the sky without having to strain your neck or be cold or be too hot, or it's cloudy outside so you can't see. So this is perfect. And the reason I use this in every moon transit video is because the moon is one of the most obvious things in our sky. If you go outside at night, especially the few days after a new moon, you'll see the crescent moon, the waxing crescent moon around sunset. And then you can, a couple days later, you'll see the moon in the full darkness, and you can compare it, what constellation it's in with what sign. And so for us, it's easy. We just look at the sky and there's the moon, and that's what we read. So I'm going to go to March 3rd, because that is when our next full moon lunar eclipse is occurring. And this will be in the constellation of Leo. So here you see the moon full, right here in the constellation of Leo. So you can't make that up. I think both tropical and constellational agree on Leo, but their moon will be right here. Two very different places. And then, of course, our sun will be still in the constellation of Aquarius. The sun will not move out of Aquarius and into Pisces until the 14th of March. So this is our sky. The other thing that I wanted to show you, let me put the landscape back in because this thing acts so silly when you try to flip it around. Let's get it oriented. There we go. If you look to the south, in other words, you pull this around so that you can look south, we can arrange this red ecliptic so that it looks very, very similar to a birth chart. Let me take out the landscape and show you. So there it is. There's Moon in Leo. There's Sun in Aquarius. There's Venus, Saturn, and Neptune right here. And this red line represents those 13 constellations that we consider when we do astrology. And the sky map has always corresponded to the subconscious archetypes in any culture. So that's what we're working with. And this is the astrology I'll read. So we'll look at the general chart when we get into the PowerPoint. And then we will look at each rising sign, how that affects you in your houses. We can still use these techniques, but we use it with the real sky. There's one thing I wanted to point out for you. There's a link to this in the description below. This is an excellent summary of what I'm going to teach you today about the 7 operations of alchemy. So it's wonderful to just read this and reflect on this. It covers not only the symbology, but also the psychological part of the process of inner alchemy. So I recommend you check that out if you'd like to reflect on that for this full moon. All right, we'll do a quick teaching on alchemy, and then we'll get into the astrology. And I call this talk the eclipse that changed everything. One of the other things that has come through for me about this lunation that we're in right now, the one that started on February 17th, is that we will look back at this month and say that's when it all started. Now, what it is that has started remains to be seen. There's been some hints and clues in the energy. I mean, you just look at the news and you just go run errands. You can tell that the vibration, the frequency, the energy is just so much higher right now. And that's a sign that there's increasing chaos. And chaos, again, is neither good or bad. It's up to you. It's your alchemy. What are you going to do with that chaos? How attached to you are the things that are being reconsumed into the void? And what do you want to create into your life? So for me, this is the eclipse that changed everything. We'll be saying this about 2 years from now. This presentation is brought to you by the Stargazers, our channel members. I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up for me and giving me a reason to wake up every day and do astrology. So thank you so much to all of our channel members. There'll be a link below to join the channel if you're so inclined. We do meet once a month right before on the new moon to go over the energies in a deeper way. And we're together as a group. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to hear other people's feedback about the astrology, it really is a beautiful community. We're all very helpful and supportive of one another. You get these videos first. You get a lot of content that nobody else gets to see, like some of my research and some of my presentations and exclusive events. So there's a benefit to doing that. And so I appreciate you all for supporting me, and thank you so very much. You're all very special to me. So alchemy, let's get into this. What is alchemy? We hear this word thrown around so much that it helps to get back to the basics. What was alchemy? Well, alchemy is basically the progenitor science to the periodic table that we have now. What drove these pre-scientists, these mystics, to burn and boil and distill and to combine and to mix and to crush things to see what they did was to figure out how to transmute something into something else, to take lead and turn it into gold. It's the philosopher's stone was one of the ingredients they were looking for that could cause that catalytic reaction to occur. And the big joke is that, after all of that searching, you find out that the philosopher's stone is actually within you. You are the philosopher's stone. You are the alchemist. The alchemist is the actual catalyst. And why did they care so much about gold? Well, it was the currency. It's a rare metal. It's useful. And what is today's gold? Today's gold is free energy. Imagine if we could actually find that. Imagine what the world would be like. All we need are about 1 million people imagining what that would be like. And that could be a reality within this level of higher frequency chaos. So this is why I'm teaching this right now, so that you can tap into your own inner alchemy and envision the world that you want to come out on the other side of this eclipse on. Here are the steps of alchemy, the 7 steps of alchemy. We turn lead into gold. This is just a symbolic way to think about your own inner transmutation. Okay, this is the alchemical process from old. But again, what we're trying to do here is parallel this process to what we do when we are confronted with this illusion, or the realities of this illusion, or the realities of this existence. And this really can be a beautiful process and parallel with what we need to do. Calcination. This is the first step. This burns the base metal or product that you want to change. So you apply fire until only ash remains. This is very similar to Pluto energy. It transforms and purifies through calcination. So it's burning away pride, it's burning away rigidity, it's burning away false identity and ego defense, you see. So this is the energy of calcination. This is what we can do to our pride, our rigidity, our false identity, our limiting beliefs. And it's so interesting because our South Node is currently in Leo, and that's where the moon will be, and that is a fire sign. So it's the energy, the fire, that's the element. Get into the fire, burn away. The next step is dissolution. So once all you have left is ash, all that's left is potential now and a fine fertilizer. So you want to dissolve the ash in a liquid solvent. Some alchemists used their urine, some alchemists used blood, some alchemists used water. There's different ways you can dissolve something. So let your structure melt. Let go of things. If something is supposed to go, it'll go. If you're meeting resistance, trying to grasp it, trying to hold it, trying to change it, try just releasing it. Allow the confusion. Surrender your certainty. That's what dissolution means. So this is very similar to Neptune energy. So we have Pluto. We have Neptune. You see the moon, we're moving into the realm of the elixir here. The next step is separation. So now you have this ashy dissolved liquid in whatever medium you choose. That's up to you. The separation is where you extract the pure thing that you're trying to get out of it. So it's filtering the dissolved mixture, keeping what's essential. So you can do it. There's several different ways you can filter and separate a solution in chemistry. But these are the alchemists, these mystics, they figured it out by experimenting and doing the work that they did. So the symbolic meaning would be discerning truth from distortion and removing what does not belong. Now, literally, like how do you do this? How do you know what's real and not real? What's a belief? What's authenticity? How do you know that? You know that by knowing yourself. Okay. You know that if your beliefs are questioned, you can still stand in that space you're in. That's the real test here. And Mercury will be retrograde by the time we have this full moon. I think it goes retrograde around the 25th. So you're going to be 4 days away from the inferior conjunction Cazimi of Mercury and Sun. And there's a separation here. Like, what can you defend and stand on your own truth, regardless of what anybody thinks about you? And what are you just repeating because it's the way you've always done it, or because somebody's told you? You have to ask yourself that question. And it's fine, whatever the answer is. I'm not judging anything. I'm just saying, like, this is how you separate. You identify it first. Then there is the conjunction. So all of your purified elements, you then recombine them. And this means integrating the shadow and the light. So the parts of us that we banish, this reminds me very much of Black Moon Lilith, who's squaring our lunar nodes right now. This is integration of shadow and light, ego and soul, self and collective. The energy of what's banished, the energy of what's being hidden is being brought to light, and it's causing the chaos, the energetic chaos. Whether it's planned or whether it's just part of the cycles that we're in, it's here and it's for us. So when we look at our own shadow and we release it, we're not only healing ourselves, but we're also healing our ancestors and generations to come, because we're all one soul, and our ancestors, whatever we learn, they learn. And then when they reincarnate, they literally have the knowledge that you have spent learning, you see. The next step is fermentation. So this is new life, right? Think of yeast, think of the process of creating an alcohol. So you allow the substance to sit and transform. This is kind of like what we do with moon water, right? We put it outside during that new moon and we let the moon energy kind of get into the water. In a sense, this is like fermentation. But the symbolic meaning behind this, in our process of transmuting, in our process of being the alchemist, is that because we were able to let go, is because we were able to integrate, something new appears in the system. A higher intelligence enters. If you're a creative person, you see that. You notice you don't always do the same thing the same way. You get into a rhythm, a way of doing things, and then you alter your course a bit because you have to introduce something new. So this is the fermentation process. This is the eclipse. This is what eclipses do. There's new energy coming in, and you can be primed to bring that into your field in ways that can benefit your life or ruin your life. It's literally up to you. It's so beautiful. The next step is distillation. So here's some, this is pretty cool, these little flasks. I loved chemistry. I love these courses. I love the lab sessions. But this is where heat and condensate, we heat and we condense rapidly and repeatedly over and over. And then what you get is vapor rising, condensing back down. And each time it condenses back down, it's purer. So the symbolic meaning for distillation is that your clarity sharpens, the truth that you're standing in becomes stable, but at the same time, you're still nimble enough to allow new information in. This is the waxing moon building pressure before the lunar eclipse. So we're being purified in this last week, or this week before the lunar eclipse. We had the new moon, the solar eclipse on the 17th, and then we had the waxing crescent phase, the first quarter moon. This is our first sort of call to action. And then the week from the quarter moon to the full moon is the purification. Okay. Next is coagulation. This is the last step. And look at that. This is the final product. This is the lead turned into gold. This is the purified substance solidifying from the distillate. So the purer you become, the more focused you become, the more aligned you become, the more you allow things to fall away, to calcinate, to leave the field, then you have a final crystallization. This is a revelation energy. So the symbolic meaning is integrated identity, sovereign consciousness. This is the gold. You are the philosopher's stone, and when you transmute, this is what you create. So just as something to, meditate upon, reflect upon when you observe the cycles of chaos in your life and in other people's lives. The symbol right here is the symbol of the philosopher's stone, and the circle with the triangle with the square and the circle inside of it are all very symbolic. And so I encourage you to research this symbol, so that you can get an idea of what all of this means when it comes to your own personal transmutation. Read that article and reflect on that if that's helpful. So I don't have a whole lot of announcements. We've already started Stellar Foundations. Yoni Magic has begun, and I'm so excited about that. So really just how to connect with me. If you like this content and you gain benefit from it, free support includes just putting a thumbs up on the video, hyping it if that's available, subscribing if you're lurking, share this. If you've just recently had the revelation that Real Sky Astrology really aligns with you, and you're able to talk to other people about that, share this content. Show them where they can follow their lunar cycle every single day. I do shorts every single day. I set them up once a week. It's fun to do. They're 2 minutes long. You get where the moon is, what it's aspecting, how the day might feel, and what you can do if something comes up. So every morning you'll get that short. You can also, if you're on Facebook, join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. You can get a reading, you can take a course, you can also join the channel if that calls to you. And then, of course, you want to learn more about the 13 signs, you want to learn more about Ophiuchus. This book, The 13th Sign, Ophiuchus and the Astrology They Don't Want You to See, will absolutely help you understand why this type of astrology is important and why we should align to it sooner rather than later. So let's get into the eclipse energy. I have the chart for you here. And what I thought we'd do is just go over the aspects. We'll read Moon South Node in Leo, we'll read Sun North Node in Aquarius, and then we'll see what the story of the chart is telling us. And the geometry is so beautiful because it tells you the story of the catalyst that sparks the fire that begins the alchemy process. And so we'll get into it when we look at this chart. All right, Leo Moon, Leo South Node. So the reason we're having these eclipses is because the sun is in proximity to the North Node. So whenever the sun is near either the North Node or the South Node, we get solar and lunar eclipses. Happens about every 6 months or 173 days, something like that. So Leo energy, this is the child, this is heart energy, this is fire. This is also ego, identity, pride, the need to be recognized, self-definition through validation. The rose is being thrown at you. While Aquarius is the collective, the principle of the thing rather than the ego, the future architecture, free energy, robots, flying cars, space travel, all that good stuff, and detachment from the personal spotlight. So this is an identity evolution. And when we go through alchemy, our identity changes. So we also have Mercury retrograde pretty close by here to the sun, and Mercury is moving this way towards the sun, and the sun is moving towards Mercury. So they are rapidly approaching one another. And Mercury is also retrograde, and meaning that it's very close to Earth. It's closer to Earth than the sun at this point. So old narratives about who you are might come up. Conversations from the past, misinterpretations, self-talk, expectations being crushed. Like it's literally like things that you thought were supposed to work a certain way are completely different now. And you almost have to let go because you're not going to be able to process why. And the why is very simple. It's because we are in a moment of chaos through an eclipse portal. There's a lot of powerful energy. There's a lot of magic around us right now. And some are not using it for the good of all. Some are using it to elevate themselves or to protect themselves. And some are using it for the good of all. And so we get to choose. That's the cool part. So this eclipse can expose mental distortions tied to your identity. Okay, like who are we? What are we? Where are we from? Those kind of existential questions could even come up. So let's go through these. Let's see, I have different. So there's that axis. That's the full moon. And again, we're including Mercury in this with the retrograde, but we also have Mars pretty close to the South Node as well. Now, Mars is the energy of action. Did you guys notice how the energy really picked up as soon as Mars entered into Aquarius? This is fighting for something or fighting against something. This is challenging beliefs and standing in your own truth. There's a lot of messy conversations around that. I've had a few in the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's true. People have these beliefs in their mind and they see something as a threat to that belief. And immediately there's a trigger where they're right, where they're going to fight for their cause. And I get it. I get it. You know, that's what Mars is doing right now. It's a very valiant energy. It's very righteous almost. So anytime Mars is in an air sign, there's a lot of activity, a lot of creativity going on and around. And hopefully you're fighting for something, not against something. Hopefully any of your anxious or reactive energy is being channeled into something creative. It's really hard right now with Uranus being square, but we'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about the square shortly. I want to talk about the good things because this chart is amazing. Now we have Jupiter here in a very nice aspect to Moon and Sun and the lunar nodes and Mercury. So Jupiter will be coming quite a bit on this transformation. Okay, this is where your perspective changes. Your belief systems get to shift. It'll be easier for you to say, okay, I believe this one thing my whole life, and maybe it's wrong, right? Like there are people out there convinced the earth is flat, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to admit that. But I have a belief because of what I was taught that it is a certain shape. It could be the shape of a banana for all I know. I really don't know. I've never been up there. So, you know, there's a lot of things where you can be open to shifting your belief perspectives. Like, what if that were true? I know that a lot of people were saying free energy is not possible. It's absolutely impossible. It breaks the laws of physics. So you say that to yourself for 100 years, and guess what? You don't have free energy. But like I said in the beginning, if millions of us said free energy, hell yeah, it's possible. Let's think outside the box. I guarantee you we'd have it. There's no way they could stop it. You see? So truth is very nuanced in this eclipse. It really comes down to what do you believe and can you stand in that authentically? So this will expand awareness without stripping away your ego. You'll be able to expand your own perspective of yourself, which I think is very cool. So that's Jupiter. That's wonderful. Jupiter will, after this full moon, will be stationing direct very shortly after that. So that's nice. Let's get into this is where it all comes together, where this story it's a slam dunk. And I swear the sky speaks to us sometimes with the alignments that are there. And if you have the eyes to see it, you can decipher that code. And is it me just sort of cherry picking the astrology to tell my story? Maybe, but you know, I look at this and it confirms what I'm already thinking. So I don't know how that's possible. Or I'll look at it and the story will come into my mind, and then I'll look further or behind a day or two, and then it all makes sense. So now we have Black Moon Lilith, which is it's the void. It's chaos. It's where all the action is happening right now. It's the quantum foam, the space of potentials, where there is no you, really. It's just the I am. It's just that little spark of you in the void with all this potential, because nothing is there yet. And it is also the part of us that is the most powerful and banished. We don't let this side of ourself come out. We don't learn about this side of ourself because it is extremely powerful. So instead, we just sort of cookie cutter program our collective youngsters to have a certain set of beliefs that ignore that side of themselves. And so they simply create what the system wants them to create rather than what they're here to create. And this is the tragedy of our time, I think. This is actually the ignition point of this whole lunar eclipse, in my opinion. This is where the alchemy happens. Okay. Squaring both nodes means that your instinct will refuse to compromise. It's going to get very, very hard in the kind of environment we are right now to compromise on your basic core values and your own authentic truth. You just can't do it right now. It's too shaky out there. You have to know what you want and you have to know what you believe in. Don't worry about anybody else. Okay? That is shadow sovereignty. That's looking at your dark side in the mirror and saying, I see you. And now you're, instead of trying to protect me, you are going to help me. So we have it squaring the Leo energy, which is the ego, the child, the see me, love me energy. And then we have the future pattern, which is Aquarius. And both are being pressured by this raw instinct. So we can feel reactionary, but I think this is best used by knowing yourself, knowing your true authentic self. My personal opinion is the best way you do that is through astrology. So that's why I do astrology. And we're learning our sky. Now, what's so neat, this is the best part that I've been saving for last because I wanted you to see how cool this is. So remember how this is the challenge here. But if you look at it as the match being lit, the spark being struck, watch what happens as we look at these reactions. Here's the alchemical reaction. The first one is Black Moon Lilith sextile to Pluto. Pluto is the calcination, remember? So it's this calcination, the destroyer energy, the obsessed energy, digging deep to get at the shadows. Scorpio, Pluto rules Scorpio. Saturn is ruling where Pluto is. This is serious work. This isn't a joke. This isn't spiritual bypassing. But you can get to bliss by doing this. And it comes from those programmed beliefs that you're too afraid to let go of. So open your heart, open your mind, jump into the chaos and ask yourself, what do you want? What kind of world do you want to see? Because it literally is up to you. And here is just a beautiful alchemical connection between Black Moon Lilith and Pluto, allowing you the space to do that. Pluto is in the same sextile configuration to Venus, Saturn, and Neptune. I don't know about you guys, but I've absolutely loved Saturn and Neptune together. Because the mystical world is sometimes so hard to grasp onto. You literally don't even know where to start. And Neptune is so creative. Saturn is so structured and is an excellent manifesting energy in your chart if you take responsibility for it, in other words. And when Pluto and Neptune are in a sextile, it's surrendering to the transformation. It's creative purification, right? So it doesn't have to be Pluto's way. You can do it Neptune's way if you want to. And Saturn's there to hold the structure for it, to give you a timeline for it, to give you concrete results from the dream, from surrendering, from doing all that shadow work. So if you want to get to that raw space where you can create from, this energy is so right, because look what happens next. We're also in a sextile to Uranus. Uranus is like, no judgment here. Wow, that's amazing. Yes, come out into this space, become concrete, become real. Uranus is out there collecting all the cosmic codes and asking us to embody it right here on planet Earth. The only crux here with Uranus, it's very erratic energy. It can do crazy, wild, unexpected things. And it's in a square formation to Mars. So again, it comes back to that Mars energy. What are you fighting for? What's triggering you to change? What's triggering you to transform? Let it trigger you. I'm doing a live stream tonight. So when that comes out, or when this video comes out, go back and check out that live stream. I might share that story about what this means personally, because this is crazy. But you're all going to feel this. And then it's going to catalyze this reaction for you. And then you're going to be able to fight for what you believe in, what's authentically you. Chiron's the only like lonely guy out here. He's not aspect to anybody except a really minor aspect to like semi sextile to Neptune and Saturn. But this has always been about reconnecting to spirit, to rising above the duality and having compassion for light and dark, right and left, black and white, up and down, because it's all one anyway, really. And you need the contrast to see the beauty of it. And you're not broken. You're perfect in your imperfections because that's you. So Chiron's about loving yourself so that your greatest gifts can shine through. And Pisces is compassion. Like, we don't have to hate each other because we believe different things. It's not a big deal. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm just trying to help you if you want it. You don't have to watch. You don't have to be here. I want to be here. If you don't want to be here, be you. Go be you. You know, it's not a big deal. Like, we can be that way with each other and still have compassion. I can still look at somebody who believes in flat earth and say, that's a cool person. Or this person believes in simulation or globe earth, and that's a cool person. Or this person believes that, I don't know, something that everybody knows is true isn't true. That's fine. They can believe it. It shouldn't anger you that somebody has a belief. It shouldn't do that at all. That shouldn't be part of your trigger energy. What you're seeing here are the current accepted modern and traditional rulers of our constellations. So if you were to start speaking in astrological circles, they wouldn't look at you crazy. You know, if you said, oh, well, you know, Pluto's in Saturn's sign, you could totally say that. That makes sense. And what you'll see is that Sun rules Leo, Moon rules Cancer, Mercury rules Gemini, Venus rules Taurus, Mars rules Aries. We have a little bit of confusion, discussion, belief systems around what rules Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio Ophiuchus. And this is okay. This part of the sky has got a lot of really deep and paradoxical energy. So trying to find the right quote unquote ruler for it isn't a simple matter of the relative speeds and their orbits. It's like, what is the energy of that constellation? What is its vibration? What is its resonance? And I don't like Mercury for Virgo. I prefer Venus. And I prefer Mercury for Libra. For me, it just balances out the energy of the chart. It's really quite refreshing. And then Mars typically rules this space in the Hellenistic astrology, but modernity has given us Chiron, which is an asteroid, and Chiron is the Centaur Archer healer. So we put Chiron as the ruler of Ophiuchus and Pluto as the ruler of Scorpio. So for those of you that are Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising, the reason I don't have one chart ruler for you is because you guys are way above all of that. That's the whole point. You're supposed to know all of these within yourself so that you can transcend. And those of you with the Ophiuchus rising, you are already able to do that innately. And so you will change who you are a lot. And that's okay, because that's a gift you have. It allows you to be a mirror to people without even knowing you're doing it. So those are your rulerships. If you want to find your ascendant and play along with us, you can do the following. If you don't have your birth time, you can put noon into the chart. So in other words, you put your name, the date, 12 in the first for the minutes and for the hour, and then 00 for the minutes, and then you put in the location of your birth. You will still get an astronomically accurate chart. We just don't know where your ascendant is. And so what I would do is, if you don't know and you're not sure, use your sun sign. So wherever the symbol of the sun shows up in that chart that you run, you can listen to these rising sign readings as well, and it will resonate with you. Not as precisely as your rising sign, or listen to all of them and see which one resonates the most with what's going on with you. That'll give you a good sense of what's going on. There's also muscle testing. There's a process called rectifying the chart. There's a lot of ways we can find out your birth time, but if you don't have it, it's as simple as just finding your sun sign. So the timestamps are all below. I invite you to listen to all of them if you're one of my students so that you can learn how to read a chart like this so that you can see what your clients and your friends are doing. I encourage you, if you don't know your rising sign, to listen to all of them as well. I'll catch up with you guys at the end for a quick outro. Hello, beautiful, lovely Leo rising. You're first because the moon is in your ascendant. And so when we were doing the general reading, that was all basically for you. But now we're going to put all that in a more personal framework, your houses. So it's, these are the personal areas of your life, and where the planets are hitting will make further and more detailed comments about what's going on with you. Now, right off the bat, you can see that ascendant's a big deal. So you have identity, partnership, right? This is a visible shedding of the self. So this is how you initiate, how you present, how you define yourself. There's an identity posture here that has kind of reached a completion point. Old roles, old pride structures, old ego. Something about how you've been seen is no longer doable anymore. This is a maturity. It could maybe not humiliation, but more of a maturity, right? So across the horizon, this is the future path through relationship. Partnership is the key to your evolutionary edge. The future is built through conscious alliance. So contracts, commitments, collaborations, they're all being purified. You're going to feel the pull towards someone or something that demands shared responsibility rather than personal dominance. Now, the 7th house here is pretty crowded for you. You have Mercury retrograde, you got Venus, Saturn, Neptune. This is where the alchemy is all concentrated. So you're going to revisit conversations, especially with those collaborations. Misunderstandings will need to be corrected here. Clarity is going to come through reflection, not reaction. Venus and Neptune and Saturn here, this is going to restructure desire. Romantic illusions will be stripped away and real devotion will show up. You're literally learning the difference between fantasy and sacred commitment during this lunar eclipse. This is maturity in partnership with a softness. It's a compassionate boundary. You're redefining or refining your relationship field. So whatever can't hold integrity here will reveal itself. Then you have Mars over here in your 6th house. This intensifies daily friction. So for you, work, health, routines become areas that are going to trigger you. You're going to feel restless with systems that waste your energy. This is an opportunity to restructure how you expend effort. Be disciplined here. Pluto in Capricorn in your 5th continues a deeper transformation around creativity, pleasure, and how you express joy. And this is a long-term transit for you guys. So the way you shine is becoming more grounded and less performative. So the catalyst point for you is 3rd house. Right? So it's instinctive truth. Words are going to carry weight for you, Leo rising. Conversations will be sharp, revealing, necessary. You can't silence what your body knows. So speak with precision. Withhold nothing. Do not lie here. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. This is 11th house, recalibrating your community and your future plans. So friendships will shift. Long-term visions will evolve. Growth will come through dialogue and shared ideas rather than applause. And then finally, we have Uranus and Chiron. Uranus and Taurus in your 9th house will disrupt those belief systems, right? This is the chain reaction that we showed, okay? So philosophy, worldview, or teaching identity may change suddenly. Certainty will loosen. Intellectual freedom increases. And then Chiron in Pisces in your 8th house reveals tenderness around intimacy, shared resources, or vulnerability. Trust may feel fragile, and healing will come through transparency. So this whole chart is just saying, be you, right? This is going to be a visible shift in self-presentation or partnership dynamic. It's the reveal. So some things that you can see in your field, you're going to be letting go of an old personal brand or an image. You're going to redefine a partnership or a commitment. You're going to end performative leadership patterns. You're going to restructure your work routines. Release pride-based defensiveness. It's not about what you believe anymore, right? Choose collaboration over control, and there's a public shift in how you will relate to others. So regulate your nervous system before reacting here. It's very important for you guys. Prioritize sleep. Move the body daily. Be very careful with your contracts. Review them. Speak clearly and calmly. Simplify work obligations. Release roles that feel like you're acting. And then spiritually, practice humility. Offer gratitude and spend time in reflective silence. The lead is leaving through the ascendant and the gold is destabilizing through the descendant, but you're not losing yourself. You are refining how you stand in partnership. Leo Rising. Hello, Cancer Rising or Cancer Sun. So if you're Cancer Rising, the moon rules your chart, right? So anytime we have a big event like an eclipse, it's always going to impact you more than other people. Second and eighth house, this is the axis of security and surrender. This is an alchemical shift around value, control, and shared power. So money, stability, self-worth, and what you hold as yours suggests an old attachment to self-reliance or a material definition of safety here. Your emotional security is tied to resources, and it may feel a little shaky. So you may lose some things, but it's purifying what you need to feel secure. Across the way, in your eighth house, you are being asked to trust others, their intimacy, their energetic merging, and being vulnerable. This is where you evolve. Safety will not come from gripping tighter. It comes from intelligent surrender. So your eighth house is very activated with the Mercury retrograde, with Venus and Saturn and Neptune. This is where all that fire is concentrated for you, for this alchemy. Mercury retrograde says revisit all the financial agreements, debts, and inheritances. Transparency is very important right now, and conversations around money or intimacy require revisiting. Pisces Venus with Saturn and Neptune. This is a softening. There's compassion in shared spaces. Saturn demands structure, and Neptune dissolves illusions about what you thought was secure. So what will happen is a clarity that rebuilds trust. So you'll feel the need to renegotiate agreements, restructure depth, or deepen emotional honesty in partnership. What's hidden will surface this month for you. Mars in your seventh, along with Pluto, intensifies partner dynamics, power struggles, control patterns, conflict. This is recalibration of equity and equality. So if you have an imbalanced partnership, it's going to feel bad. If it's strong, it will deepen though. Uranus in your 10th house introduces unpredictability in career or public roles. So you're going to have a sudden shift in professional direction that's going to come out of nowhere. Authority structures may change. You're being asked to stand differently in the world. And really the catalyst here is in two places. It's Black Moon Lilith and that Mars. So instinct around truth, joy, creativity, romantic expression. This is all fifth house themes. So you'll recognize where you have muted your desire or controlled your pleasure. So creative sovereignty should return here. And Jupiter retrograde in Gemini expands that inner awareness. Insight increases. Rest becomes essential, 12th house. Spiritual understanding deepens quietly. And the most important growth that you're going through right now is not visible to others. That's just a Jupiter transiting through your 12th house. Chiron in your 9th house highlights belief systems. So old philosophies around trust, destiny, or faith are dissolving. Healing comes through allowing uncertainty without panic, right? So a decision about security versus surrender becomes clear. Is it worth it to you? If once you redefine it, you can ask yourself if it's worth it to you, if it's true for you. So look for renegotiating shared finances, ending financial codependency, deepening emotional vulnerability, possibly career shifts that alter your income streams, power, recalibration, and partnership, releasing attachments to material identity, or an increased need for private processing. You need to be alone a lot right now with Jupiter in your 12th house. So for the body, ground through physical routines, eat regularly to stabilize your blood sugar, slow breathing for financial conversations. So when you're in the money talks, just breathe really slowly. For life, review your budgets and contracts carefully. Simplify financial obligations where possible. Communicate clearly about shared expectations. Practice trust in stages here. Release the fear of vulnerability and do journal. So the lead for you leaves through the grip and the gold stabilizes through trust. The power is not in holding tighter, Cancer rising. It's in knowing that you can safely share. Busy, smart, sarcastic Gemini rising. Mercury rules your chart. This eclipse is activating the axis of your mind and your meaning, of truth and belief, the theme that we've been talking about all month. This is an alchemical shift in how you think, speak, and orient yourself toward truth. So this is about communication, daily interactions, siblings, media, mental habits. With the South Node here, an old narrative that you're running is ready to end. So a way of speaking, reacting, scattering your attention, you're done with that. You may notice mental noise that once felt productive is now actually draining you. Across the sky, you're being asked to come into a larger coherence. Philosophy, teaching, travel, publishing, belief systems, and long-term vision become the evolutionary edge. This eclipse asks you to move from information to wisdom. So your 9th house is very activated as well during this lunation. Mercury retrograde is there, Venus, Saturn, and Neptune. This is where refinement happens. So you got to revisit those beliefs. You have to question assumptions you've held for years, teaching roles, public statements, anything. It might need revision. What you once defended strongly may now feel incomplete. Venus will soften the process, expanding your worldview. Saturn gives you intellectual integrity, and Neptune dissolves the illusion. Together, they restructure your philosophy so it can hold weight. So Mars in Aquarius with Pluto in Capricorn, both in your 8th house. Pluto through the 8th house is one of the most powerful, magical transits you'll ever go through. If you're ever worried about your ego, you won't have one when Pluto's done with you here. So for Gemini rising, this is amazing. But having Mars here right now can be intense. So conversations around money, trust, merging will carry a lot more charge than usual. There's going to be intimacy, psychological depth, power dynamics. So this eclipse will expose where words have been used to avoid vulnerability. You need depth this month. Superficial communication will not work for you this month. Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio in your 6th will bring an instructed truth into your job, into your work, into your health routines, and your body. You may feel less tolerant of environments that drain your energy, and the body will tell you. So efficiency must also align with your integrity. Jupiter in your 1st house expands self-awareness. Inwardly, you're growing. Identity is being refined and redefined. Confidence feels quieter but stronger, right? You're not shrinking, you're recalibrating. Uranus in Taurus in the 11th house disrupts your group affiliations, so watch for the friendships shifting. Long-term plans will also change, and your community will evolve. Chiron in your 10th is going to reveal tenderness around your visibility, career, or public role. You'll question how you are perceived. Healing will come through authenticity rather than performance. So a philosophical shift is in the air for you. And this is when information condenses into wisdom. So what this might look like is letting go of an outdated belief system, ending a media or a communication pattern, revising your teaching material or messaging, deep financial or relational conversations, career clarity through your own vulnerability, shifts in friendships or community roles, and an increased desire for study and travel. In the body, you want to limit information overload. Stop doom scrolling. Rest that nervous system regularly and step away from constantly talking. Listen a little bit. Review your agreements carefully, clarify your long-term direction, and simplify your messaging. Study deeply rather than broadly. Find one thing you can really dive deep into. And again, silence is always important. Allow your beliefs to evolve without any fear, because the lead leaves through the scattered thought, and the gold that you alchemize is stabilized through a coherent vision. Gemini Rising, your voice will strengthen when your worldview deepens. Hello, Taurus Rising, my soul tribe. I am also a Taurus Rising. And for us, this is activating the axis of our 4th and 10th house, home and visibility. So being in our 4th house, the moon conjunct the south node here, this is an attachment to comfort, privacy, or some kind of identity. This is all completing here. So we're going to feel protective. We're going to feel nostalgic. We might feel the urge to hold on to what feels really safe. While over here in the 10th house, we're being called forward. We have to be seen. Our responsibility is increasing. Leadership becomes defined by contribution rather than preference. This is a moment where we're asked to stand publicly in a more refined version of ourselves. So Mercury retrograde is also here. So is Venus, so is Saturn, so is Neptune. So the whole gamut is here. So the 10th house is being activated. Something about how we communicate professionally is being rewritten. So we need to revisit career messaging, contracts, public statements, and your long-term direction. Venus brings a little grace into the energy. This is where beauty shows up. There's accountability with Saturn and an illusion dissolving around what success should look like. All of these refine our public role so that it reflects the truth rather than the image. We're going to feel the weight of expectation, and we may feel the pull toward a calling that requires a certain level of maturity. This is the gold here for you. So Mars in Aquarius and Pluto in Capricorn in our 9th house intensifies belief structures, philosophy, publishing, teaching, or legal matters may feel charged. We may feel compelled to speak more boldly about what we know. At the same time, we're being asked to ground conviction in discipline. So if you're Taurus, if you're going to speak it, do it. Black Moon Lilith is in our 7th house, pressuring relationship dynamics. Partnerships will become mirrors to us. So we cannot compromise authenticity for harmony. Instinct won't even allow it. The truth must be honored. Jupiter, blessing us in our 2nd house, recalibrates value and income. We are reconsidering what we charge, what we accept, and what we truly consider worth our energy. So a clarity may come through reflection rather than expansion. Uranus in the 12th house continues quiet internal liberation. Yes, we are working on our subconscious patterns, Taurus. Wait till we emerge into the 1st house. We feel restless and we don't really know why all the time, but our old fears are dissolving as this awareness comes to light. We have Chiron in the 11th house, highlighting tenderness around community, long-term dreams. We may recognize where we have outgrown certain groups. Healing comes through alignment with people who see us clearly. So this is a clear shift in how we balance private life and public authority. So we need to let go of private identity that limits our growth, stepping into a larger, more professional role. We need to revise public messaging or branding, rebalance family responsibilities, renegotiate partnership expectations, and also a financial recalibration tied to worth. There's deep internal psychological release going on for Taurus Rising during this eclipse. So let's prioritize sleep and grounding rituals. Maintain constant nourishment, be outside, clarify the career direction before making any announcements, and simplify your obligations at home. Carefully review your financial strategy. And then just tips, Taurus, you need to offer gratitude to your ancestors. You need to release guilt around ambition and align your success with integrity rather than appearance. So the gold, the lead for us will leave through the 4th house attachments, and the gold will stabilize through the 10th house responsibility. Hello, Aries Rising. This lunar eclipse is activating your axis of the 5th and the 11th house, creativity and collective contribution. This is a recalibration between personal expression and group alignment. This is creativity, romance, visibility, children, and the part of you that wants to shine. An old performance pattern is completing for you, Aries Rising. You are going to recognize where ego-driven creativity and validation seeking, or the personal spotlight, has lost its limit. Something about how you seek recognition is being changed here. So across from the horizon, we have the 11th house, calling you toward community, collaboration, and future architecture. The growth edge, the evolution here, lies in a shared vision rather than individual applause. So the eclipse is asking you to align your creativity with a collective purpose. This 11th house is lit for you. Mercury is here, revisiting friendships, alliances, long-term plans, conversations about shared goals. Need clarity. So miscommunication in group settings may surface for correction. Venus and Saturn and Neptune are also here. Venus will soften those social dynamics, but Saturn demands accountability, especially in commitments. The illusion about who is truly aligned with your future will be pulled away by Neptune. So some of your friendships might feel unstable, and others will deepen tremendously through honesty. So this is going to feel like a total restructuring of your social ecosystem. You have Mars and Pluto in your 10th house. Mars is in Aquarius. So your power structures are going to shift here. You're going to feel compelled to act decisively in your professional life. Your leadership style is under review. Authority will be exercised with discipline rather than impulse here. Uranus in your 1st house continues to liberate the identity. You're not the same person you were a year ago. Sudden shifts in self-perception or direction may also arise here. The eclipse supports authenticity over predictability. Black Moon Lilith in your 8th house in Scorpio exposes instinctive truths around intimacy and power. Emotional entanglements will not remain superficial. Control issues surface. This is all about transformation for you. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini in your 3rd house will recalibrate communication. You may rethink how you speak, how you teach, or how you distribute information. Expansion comes through refinement of the message. Chiron in Pisces in your 12th house reveals subtle spiritual tenderness. Old wounds may arise quietly. Rest and solitude are essential for integration of the shadow during this moon for you, Aries Rising. So what this might look like for you is a visible shift in creative identity or community alignment. So what you might feel is a stepping back from ego-driven creative projects, ending or redefining friendships, shifting long-term goals, increasing the responsibility in your career, and public recognition for the collaborations that you're involved in. You also want to experience emotional honesty when we talk about shared resources, and spend spiritual processing in a quiet space. So move regularly during this month to discharge tension, avoid impulsive decisions, maintain good sleep, review your professional boundaries, and speak very carefully in group settings. Spend time alone before you make any major announcements, and release the need for immediate validation, because you're aligning your creativity with contribution. Your lead leaves through the ego patterns, and your gold stabilizes through the 11th house. Something bigger than you is moving you forward. Aries rising. Sensitive, sweet, creative, and spiritual. Pisces rising. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of your chart. You can also use Neptune in the modern interpretations. This eclipse is happening on the axis of service and surrender, karma and enlightenment. It's a purification between daily labor and your spiritual soul. So, work routines, health patterns in the 6th house, responsibility, the way you manage obligation. There's an old cycle of overextending yourself that's finishing. So, you will recognize where you've been carrying too much, fixing too much, or structuring your life around constant output. So, fatigue is information here. So is irritation. The body is actually signaling the path of refinement for you. So, all of this over here in your 12th house calls you inward. Retreat, contemplation, solitude, prayer, dream life, and spiritual restoration become the edge for you. So coming back to the center, back to yourself, right? Inner alignment rather than productivity. Your 12th house is so stacked right now. Mercury retrogrades there, Venus, Saturn, and Neptune. And this is where all the gold concentrates. So revisit those internal narratives, those private conversations, those hidden worries, the subconscious scripts. Look at them all. Be quieter. You'll feel less interested in explaining yourself, and reflection will replace reaction. Venus is softening the inner world, and there is a beauty in solitude. Saturn demands discipline and spiritual practice, and Neptune says, do not be a martyr. This is refining your relationship to surrender, and you're learning the difference between sacrifice and conscious withdrawal. This is a sacred reset of your inner chamber. You have Pluto and Mars in your 11th house, so social pressures here for you. Intense group dynamics, friendships will shift, long-term plans will change, power struggles within networks will occur. You're going to feel compelled to distance yourself from the collective noise. Uranus and Taurus in the 2nd will disrupt financial patterns, so your income may fluctuate. Values will shift. Security is changing. This is literally an invitation to build flexibility into your material life. Jupiter retrograde in your 4th house expands internal awareness, so home and family are under review. Your emotional roots will deepen, and growth will happen privately before it becomes visible. And then you have Black Moon Lilith, the catalyst, in your 9th house, pressuring your belief systems, instinct, challenges, dogma. You may reject philosophies that once guided you. So the trust must actually feel embodied. You're not doing it because you've always done it. You're doing it because it feels right. Chiron in Pisces in the 1st house is tenderness around who you are. You're going to feel exposed. You're going to feel sensitive. And healing will come through self-compassion rather than correction. So there's a clear decision here about rest, boundaries, and spiritual focus. You're reclaiming your inner authority during this eclipse. So this can look like stepping back from overwork, releasing draining commitments, shifting your daily routines to protect that energy, changing your financial strategies, perhaps even distancing yourself from a group, deepening meditation or prayer, and emotional processing around identity. So rest, hydrate, reduce sensory overload, gentle movement rather than intensity. Simplify your work commitments, right? Create a quiet space in your home where you can go and escape. Establish a daily reflective practice, journal your dreams, and release guilt around rest. So the lead here is through compulsive service, and the gold is stabilized through conscious surrender. And there's tremendous power in this Pisces rising. Hello, Aquarius rising. The traditional ruler of Aquarius is Saturn, so you can claim that planet for your chart ruler, or you can go with the modern interpretation of Uranus. This axis is activating yourself and your partnerships. This is a direct recalibration of identity through relationship. So the seventh house is about government, contract, marriage, alliance, open rivals. There's an old relational pattern completing here. You're going to recognize where you have adapted too much, overcompromised, or defined yourself through the needs of another. So something about the way you partner with other people is being purified. Over here in your first house, you're being called back into self-authorship. This is personal sovereignty here. You're being asked to stand in a clearer and more distinct version of yourself. Visibility increases, but accountability also increases. So the evolutionary edge for you here is self-definition rather than dilution. First house is so packed for you. Mercury retrograde, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, they're all here with the North Node. And this is where all your alchemy and your gold concentrates. Mercury will ask you to reconsider how you speak about yourself. Labels, narratives, self-descriptions may no longer fit. You're going to feel quieter or more reflective as identity reorganizes. Venus softens your presence. There's a magnetism here. But Saturn wants integrity, and Neptune will dissolve the illusion about what you thought you needed to be. All of this refines self-presentation. You're clarifying. This is a reintroduction of you, Aquarius Rising. Mars is also in Aquarius, but in your 12th house, and so is Pluto. So this intensifies subconscious dynamics for you. Anger that was suppressed will surface. Old power struggles that live beneath awareness will become visible. And this is deep psychological composting. You are going to feel so restless without an obvious cause. So private processing is very essential. This is not a time to ignore your instinct. Black Moon Lilith in your 10th house pressures public reputation. Career or authority dynamics will expose many truths for you. You cannot maintain an image that conflicts with your internal shift. Jupiter in your 5th expands creative self-expression. Some joy will return to you through experimentation and from playful intelligence rather than rigid strategy. Uranus in your 3rd house disrupts communication patterns. You may change how you speak, how you write, or how you distribute ideas, and sudden insights will arrive from nowhere. Chiron in Pisces in your 2nd house reveals tenderness around self-worth and income. You may question value. Healing comes through recognizing the intrinsic worth rather than the external validation. So a very visible shift in partnership dynamic or self-definition here. It's about standing fully in yourself. And this can end or redefine a partnership. You need to reclaim your personal voice, adjust self-presentation a bit. There's a career energy tied to authenticity, like doing you is your career, right? Creative experimentation, solitude. Give yourself more solitude and reassess your financial value. So very important for you, Aquarius Rising, to prioritize your sleep through these subconscious shifts, to move tension out of the body regularly, to maintain good nourishment. Communicate your boundaries and review contracts carefully. Don't make any public declarations that are impulsive. Do some journaling, release old relational roles, and practice self-affirmation grounded in action. So your lead is through relational over-identification, and your gold is stabilized through embodied sovereignty. You're returning to yourself, Aquarius Rising. Hello, Capricorn Rising. Saturn rules your chart, and all the action is in your 2nd house. This is a purification and alchemizing energy between entanglement and autonomy. Now, the 8th house governs resources, debt, intimacy, inheritance, psychology, hidden power. There's an old cycle of dependency, financial entanglement, or emotional control that's completing for you. So you're going to recognize where you've carried someone else's burden or allowed your security to hinge on external variables. Across the chart in your 2nd house, you're being called toward sovereignty, income, assets, personal value, and self-reliance become the evolutionary edge for you. The eclipse is asking you to build stability from within rather than through complex interdependence. So you also have Mercury retrograde here. You have Venus here. You have Saturn and Neptune here. So revisit financial plans, pricing, contracts, and conversations. Something about how you define worth is under revision here. Venus will soften the process. Having Venus in your second house is awesome, bringing creative or artistic potential into your income streams. This is where work becomes creative. This is financial discipline with Saturn here and dissolving illusion about what is sustainable with Neptune here. All of them refine your material foundation. So your income must align with your integrity. Mars is in your first house and Pluto is just about to cross into your first house. It's right on your ascendant. This is a long-standing transit. And so this is intense personal transformation, right? You've been going through it already. Your presence carries weight and you might feel more assertive or less tolerant of compromise. Your identity itself is recalibrating. This is an incredibly powerful time to reclaim your authority, Capricorn Rising. And others will respond very strongly to your shifts, but stand grounded. Uranus in your fourth house disrupts domestic patterns. Home or family structures will shift unexpectedly, and emotional foundations are being updated. So the ground will shift, but you got to find a place to stand on. You have Black Moon Lilith in your 11th house, so pressures around friendships and long-term alliances. Group dynamics may expose hidden motives. You really can't remain aligned with circles that drain your power anymore. So whatever clubs or groups you're in, if they're frustrating you, get out. Jupiter retrograde in your 6th house expands awareness of work and health routines. So you're going to revise some systems here, scheduling or productivity habits. Simplifying is probably the best choice for the health routines and work habits. Chiron in your 3rd house highlights tender communication patterns. You may realize where you've avoided difficult conversations, and healing comes through the honest dialogue. So a clear boundary between money, intimacy, or dependency will become visible, and it's a turning point on how you define your stability. So Capricorn Rising, ending financial entanglements, renegotiating debt, repricing your services, stronger personal boundaries. There might be a shift in your home environment. You're going to distance yourself from group affiliations, and there's going to be an increased focus on physical routines. So maintain physical structure, lift or strengthen weights to embody authority, prioritize your rest, definitely review your budgets, simplify financial arrangements, clarify the expectations that you have in your partnerships, release the guilt around the interdependence. It's time. Gratitude for the stability, and affirm intrinsic value daily. So your gold, your lead, leaves through the complex entanglement, and the gold stabilizes through self-generated worth. Security becomes stronger when it's yours, Capricorn. Hello, Sagittarius Rising. Jupiter rules your chart, and this eclipse is activating the axis of belief and language. This is a recalibration between your doctrine, what you believe in, and your dialogue, how you communicate. The 9th house is about philosophy, teaching, publishing, travel, law, and the frameworks through which you interpret reality. Old belief systems are completing here. There's something that you just no longer want to invest in, your mental energy. You're going to recognize where certainty is hardened into rigidity, and a worldview that once inspired you will now feel limiting. Over here in your 3rd house, you are called toward grounded communication. So the evolutionary edge lies in conversation, curiosity, and lived experience. So the eclipse is asking you to move from preaching to participating, where wisdom becomes practical. Your 3rd house is lit up. You've got not only Sun and North Node, but you also have Venus, Saturn, and Neptune there. So Mercury here as well revisits conversations with siblings, neighbors, colleagues, or your immediate community. Miscommunications may surface for correction, and old messages will require refinement. So Venus will soften your tone. Saturn demands you speak with integrity. and Neptune will dissolve the illusion about what you thought you knew. And altogether, they restructure how you communicate truth, and precision matters. You'll feel called to write, to teach, or to speak differently than before. This is embodying your new philosophy. You're going to have Mars in Aquarius and Pluto about to enter your second house. Intense energy around financial and value, income pricing, or self-worth may feel charged. You're being asked to align money with principle. Control dynamics around resources may also become visible. You have Uranus in the fifth house, disrupting your creative patterns. You might experiment with new forms of expression. Romantic or creative surprises may arise. You have Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio in your 12th house. This brings instinctive shadow material into awareness. Hidden fears, suppressed anger, they may surface privately. So rest and reflection are crucial for you, Sagittarius Rising. Jupiter in Gemini in your 7th house recalibrates partnerships. So growth will come through dialogue with others rather than isolated certainty. And some of the contracts may need revision. Chiron in Pisces in your 4th house reveals tenderness around family roots. Emotional security may feel fragile. Healing will come through acknowledging vulnerability rather than masking it with ideology. So a visible shift in philosophy or public messaging will become very clear here. This is a maturation of your faith. This is going to feel like revising a teaching or a publishing plan, ending an attachment to something rigid, financial restructuring, creative experimentation, honest conversations with siblings or peers, private emotional processing, and redefining partnership expectations. So this during this full moon, slow down your speech during emotional spikes. Just speak slower. Ground through physical movement and prioritize rest when you feel overstimulated. Clarify your financial agreements for sure. Simplify your messaging and listen as much as you speak. And definitely just allow those beliefs to evolve. They don't need to be in concrete stone right now. Journal about your doubts and be humble when you speak. The lead is leaving you through a rigid doctrine, and gold is stabilizing through embodied communication. Sagittarius Rising, your wisdom deepens when it can be spoken simply. Scorpio and Ophiuchus Rising. If you're one, you're the other. This is one energy in the space of our sky. And Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. So you can use Mars for Ophiuchus. But we also have Chiron and Pluto. And again, you guys are chameleons because your identity knows that you're not who you think you are. And you have this ability to change yourself. This is activating your axis of belief and voice. This is a recalibration between higher doctrine and lived communication. So philosophy, teaching, publishing, travel, and the frameworks through which you interpret meaning, right? So belief systems or spiritual posture is finished. You're done with it. You're going to feel a quiet detachment from something you once defended quite strongly. So ideology will loosen a bit here. And in your 3rd house, you're called toward grounded speech. The evolutionary edge lies in conversation, daily dialogue, writing, and exchange. Truth should become practical here. You're being asked to embody wisdom rather than to declare it. Mars in Aquarius in your 3rd house intensifies this communication. Words carry force. You're going to feel sharper, more direct, less tolerant of vague discussion. At the same time, precision matters, so your reaction will not serve you. Conscious articulation will. Your 4th house is heavily activated with Mercury retrograde, Venus, Saturn, and Neptune. Emotional alchemy right here for you. Mercury retrograde revisits family conversations and internal narratives shaped in your childhood. So old patterns of silence or responsibility will surface. Venus is going to soften the energy here. Saturn asks for boundaries, while Neptune will dissolve illusion about what home or security should look like. Altogether, they restructure your internal foundation. Your emotional authority is stabilizing here. You have Pluto in your second house. So long-term transformation around money and self-worth, control around resources is being recalibrated. Income must align with integrity. Jupiter in your eighth house expands awareness of shared resources, intimacy, and psychological merging. Growth will come through honest conversations about power and vulnerability. Uranus and Taurus in your sixth house disrupts routines around work and structure. Your health patterns may require adjustment and or attention. So flexibility will increase your efficiency as Uranus moves through your sixth house. Chiron in Pisces in your fifth house shows tenderness around creative expression and joy. You may feel vulnerable about being seen. Healing will come through allowing yourself to create without judging yourself. Then you have Black Moon Lilith right on your ascendant. So this pressures the entire field from beneath your awareness. Like shadow will rise quietly, and instinct knows what is no longer aligned before the logic even catches up. Typically, you guys are going with the flow and aligning yourselves anyway. That's why you're so catalytic for others. So a big visible shift here for you in philosophy or messaging. It becomes undeniable. It's a refinement of your truth. So this can look like letting go of a rigid spiritual stance, honest conversations with siblings or community, revisiting family arrangements, financial restructuring, changes in daily routines, creative vulnerability, or deep private emotional processing. Some things you can do: slow your speech down, especially during those charged moments. Try to maintain a good sleep pattern. Move tension through physical activity. Do something physical to get rid of the frustration and the anxiety. Definitely review your financial structures, clarify your family boundaries, simplify your daily routines, and then make sure you journal about these belief shifts so that you can release the attachment about being right. Sit in silence before speaking publicly as well. So the lead here is going to lead you through inherited doctrine, and the gold is embodied communication. Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising, your power will deepen when truth becomes lived rather than declared. Hello, Libra rising. You can choose Venus or Mercury as your chart ruler. The moon and sun are activating the axis of visibility and inner security. So we're looking at fourth house, 10th house for you. 10th house is about your career, your reputation, your authority, the role that you play in the world. So something about your old public posture is finishing. You'll feel detached from a title, a leadership style, or an expectation that once defined you. Recognition will not carry the same weight. Something about how you've been seen is being refined here. Across the horizon in your fourth house, it's calling you inward, right? Home, emotional safety, family patterns, ancestral roots are the evolutionary edge for you. You're being asked to build from within rather than perform for without. And the future stabilizes through private integrity. You have Mars and Aquarius in your fourth house, intensifying the domestic energy. There's a tension in family dynamics or an urgency around home decisions. This is a restructuring for you, so action taken here must be deliberate. Your fifth house is so stacked with Mercury retrograde, Venus, Saturn, and Neptune. Revisit your creative projects, romantic conversations, issues involving children. Something about how you express joy is under revision here. Venus softens it all. Saturn will demand discipline in this creative work. You got to keep doing it. And Neptune will dissolve illusion about what actually brings you fulfillment. They're going to refine your relationship to pleasure and artistic identity, and joy must be sustainable, not performative. Pluto's hanging out in your third house. This is a long-term transformation around how you communicate. You know words carry power, and you're learning to speak with intention rather than diplomacy alone. The Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio in the first house represents identity directly, so instinct refuses to compromise. You're going to feel less willing to smooth over discomfort for harmony. Your authenticity will sharpen. Jupiter in Gemini in your 8th house expands awareness of shared resources and intimacy. Financial or emotional entanglements may require reflection here. Growth will come through honest vulnerability. Taurus in your 7th house disrupts those partnership patterns. Relationships will evolve unexpectedly. You cannot remain in stagnant agreements. While Chiron in Pisces in your 6th house highlights tenderness around work routines and health. Healing will come through simplifying systems rather than over-correcting. So, Libra Rising, a visible shift in career or reputation that occurs alongside a deeper private grounding. And it's the recalibration of what success means. This can look like letting go of a public role, changing your career direction, potentially redefining your home or living situation, revising your creative projects. There's going to be an increased assertiveness in self-presentation. Financial discussions around shared assets will occur and your partnerships will absolutely shift. So some remedies, ground yourself through those routines. Everybody's getting the sleep this month. Move tension out of the shoulders and the neck. Clarify that career direction before you tell everyone. Strengthen boundaries in your partnerships and simplify your creative commitments. And spiritually, just reflect on your ancestral patterns, release the need for universal approval, and most of all, just align that outer authority with your inner truth. The lead is leaving through the public performance, and the goal is stabilizing through private integrity, Libra. Your authority will strengthen when it is rooted at home. Hello, Virgo Rising. This lunar eclipse is activating the collective alignment and personal creativity, the 11th and 5th house. And you are typically with Mercury as your chart ruler. However, you can also use Venus. I think Venus is much more aligned with the Virgo energy, in my opinion. There's a purification here between your group identity and your individual expression. So friendships, networks, audiences, long-term goals. With the South Node here, an old social role is completing. You will feel detached from certain circles, communities, or future plans that once felt essential. The need to belong is going to shift. The desire to perform for an audience may fade. And over here, the 5th house calls you back to creative sovereignty. So you're looking for romance, pleasure, artistic expression, and self-initiated projects. This is your evolutionary edge. Your future grows through your individual spark rather than your collective validation. Mars is in your 5th house, also intensifying that creative drive. You'll feel urgent to begin or reclaim a project. There's a passion here, but it has to be directed consciously. Your 6th house is also heavily activated with Mercury retrograde, Venus, Neptune, and Saturn. So you have to revisit those work routines, health patterns, service roles. Miscommunication at work might require a correction here. Systems that once functioned smoothly may need restructuring. Venus will soften and lighten the work environment, but Saturn demands discipline in your daily habits. Neptune will dissolve the illusion about how much you can realistically carry. And all of these define and refine your relationship to responsibility. So service must not erase joy. Pluto is in your 4th house, continuing that deep transformation around family and emotional roots. Power dynamics at home will shift. The foundations are restructuring for you, Virgo Rising. You have Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio in the 2nd house. Pressure around value, self-worth. You may feel less willing to underprice yourself or to overgive. The instinct around this sharpens and you will make the right decision. You actually won't have a choice. Jupiter in your 9th house expands philosophical reflection. So travel, study, or teaching might be reconsidered for you now. Growth will come through revisiting belief systems as well. Uranus in your 8th house disrupts shared financial or intimate agreements. Unexpected changes in your resources may occur. Flexibility stabilizes this tension, however. Chiron in your 7th house reveals tenderness in your partnerships. So some old relational wounds may surface, and healing will come through compassion rather than criticism. So Virgo rising, a visible shift in friendship or creative direction, it becomes undeniable, and it's alignment with authentic joy here. So what this can look like is ending a friendship or a group role that doesn't belong to you anymore, beginning a new creative project, reworking your daily routines, health awareness increasing, revising travel or study plans, financial boundaries strengthening, and emotional shifts at home. So some remedies for this is to simply simplify your daily systems, avoid overscheduling, rest when you're overwhelmed, clarify your creative priorities, and set financial boundaries. Review those shared agreements and release the need for approval. Honor your unique voice and allow the partnerships to evolve organically. You see, the lead will be leaving through group over identification. I am this group, to stabilizing through your own personal creativity. So your joy isn't optional, Virgo rising, it's directional. And we are back. I am sincerely hopeful that those readings help you get through the next intense bit of energy. It's a lot right now. It is really sparkly. I've already been sweating a few times reading through some of these. So reach out if you have any questions, you need any help, comment below if you have any interesting placements. And please subscribe, please like the video, please share this video if you know someone that wants to get into constellational astrology. And I will see you guys on the next video. Much love.